President Lee Myung-bak says he'll tackle the rising unemployment among young Koreans. Korean universities have more autonomy in their admissions policies. And in an unprecedented ruling, a Seoul court has allowed a woman to have non-active euthanasia. Hello and welcome to News Today on KBS World. It's Monday, the 1st of December. I'm Namo Kim. President Lee Myung-bak has pledged to tackle the problem of the rising unemployment among young people. He said the government is devising measures to create more jobs for them, but he also urged youth to be more active in their job searching.
President Lee says his administration is creating programs to tackle unemployment among young people.
당장 내년에 청년 인턴제를 도입하여 중소기업과 정부 공공기관에서 근무하면서 취업 준비할 수 있도록 지원할 것입니다. 또 미래 산업의 핵심 인력을 양성하는 미래 산업 분야 청년 리더 10만 명 양성 계획을 조기 시행하기 위해 내년에만 7,500억 원의 특별 예산을 편성했습니다.
He's also announced efforts to support young people in need, like a project to help those from low-income families adapt to society. A credit recovery project will be introduced for college students who've defaulted on their student loans. The government will also encourage young people to find jobs overseas. President Lee says the number of participants in state-designated working holiday programs will double from 30,000 to 60,000 by 2012. He says his top policy priority is creating jobs for young people.
Many small businesses in Korea refuse to accept credit cards to evade taxes. The National Tax Service is cracking down on them by auditing nearly 150 self-employed businessmen with high income.
The latest tax audits target high-income self-employed entrepreneurs who accept cash only to evade taxes. The targets number 147 include 60 to 70 high-end private educational institutes with a cash-only policy. Private skin and acupuncture clinics and other self-employed that accept only cash will also be audited. One tutoring institute is found to have fees transferred to an employee's personal bank account. This institute earned more than $1.4 million tax-free for the past 3 years. Tax authorities say the audits will be carried out on institutes specialized in university admissions, as well as those for English, arts, and school transfers, and others offering dorms.
언제나 이거 현금 수강료가 문제입니다. 이건 고의적으로 또는 의도적으로 신고를 경각하기 위해서 현금을 받는다고 볼 수가 있겠습니다.
Certain clinics are found to have omitted reporting cash payments for expensive procedures not covered by insurance. The National Tax Service has suspended its annual tax audits because of the economic slump, but will go after high-income earners who fail to report their incomes. Tax officials have also collected more than $57 million in back taxes from 136 high-income professionals since August.
The Korean Council for University Education is considering allowing colleges more autonomy in their admissions policies. A decision will be announced in January, but the measure is expected to reignite fierce debate.
The Korean Council for University Education is considering abolishing the rule on restricting a university's right to select its students. The council has taken into account a change in which students can choose which high school they attend, a rule which will take effect in Seoul from next year. The council says universities will naturally grade high schools when selecting new students by 2012, when students with the freedom to choose their high schools will enter college.
현재 2012학년도에 대학 입시 자유로 하는 최소한 고교 등급제까지도 무너지는 그런 현상이 된다.
The council says the high school ranking system will give universities more autonomy in recruiting new students. The council also says it cannot raise issue over a university's use of essay tests as a means of admission, as government guidelines for such tests have been abolished. Universities will receive more autonomy in deciding whether to rank high schools and offer essay tests.
고교 등급제와 그다음에 본고사 폐지하는 것에 대해서는 자율적으로 두어도 사회가 그렇게 혼란이 되지 않는 거 아니냐.
But the council is against allowing universities to accept donations for student admissions. A task force will handle the abolishment of the educational restrictive policy and the college entrance exam for 2011. The final decision will come next month.
The history of Korean immigrants in the U.S. spans more than a century, but some first-generation Korean Americans still have a problem communicating in English. A major American TV network is addressing this problem by running Korean subtitles for its news.
Nearly 1 million ethnic Koreans live in the Los Angeles area, but many of them still struggle with the English language. Many have difficulty understanding American programs except the ones broadcast on Korean channels. This is a problem shared by some 700,000 Asian residents in the area. But digital broadcasting has provided an answer. TV viewers can now select subtitles not only in Korean and English, but also in Chinese, Japanese, and Vietnamese. This is thanks to a digital reception device developed by the KBS Broadcast Technical Research Institute and commercialized by a Korean company. The first pilot test was carried out on an NBC News program.
About 15% of the Los Angeles population, by our estimates, about 700,000 households who haven't been served by our news organizations. So we're doing outreach to that group.
The test broadcasts will continue throughout December and be fully implemented in Southern California in time for the transition to digital TV in February. Korean cultural contents will also be introduced in other foreign languages, which is expected to launch another Korean wave, or Hallyu. If the multi-language closed caption program succeeds in Southern California, service in other major American cities are expected to follow.
A court in Seoul has made an unprecedented ruling, clearing the way to allow non-active euthanasia in Korea. The ruling has recognized the right of a comatose patient to get off life support and die a dignified death.
The family of a 76-year-old comatose woman has asked the Seoul court to take her off life support. The court, in an unprecedented ruling, has ordered the hospital to remove the respirator from the patient. The judges say further treatment for the patient is meaningless, given that she's unlikely to recover. The ruling says the patient has little time to live anyway, so allowing her death is a better way to respect her dignity rather than having her on life support. The judges apparently believe the patient wanted to end medical treatment, considering she rejected medical treatment for her ailing husband 3 years ago. She told her children that she wanted to die a natural death.
환자가 회복될 가능성이 없고 환자의 치료 중단의 의사가 추정되는 경우 의사는 환자의 자기결정권에 기한 인공호흡기 제거 요구에 응할 의무가 있다는 판결입니다.
The court says it expects a new law on a person's right to die a dignified death. But the hospital is resisting the demand by the patient's family to end treatment. A hospital source says internal discussion will be held on filing an appeal.
A leading Korean high-tech university has developed a lunar landing module purely with Korean technology. This is the second major breakthrough for Korean space technology, following the development of a rocket due to be launched next year.
This is a lunar landing module developed solely with Korean technology.
셋, 둘, 하나.
The module is only 40 centimeters high and weighs 25 kilograms. Yet it can land on the moon, carrying a load as heavy as 20 kilograms. A satellite orbits around a limited path, but the module reaches Earth's orbit on a rocket and then navigates itself to lunar orbit by maneuvering its own propulsion engine. The key technology is operating an engine to land on the moon's surface.
지구는 달보다 중력장이 훨씬 강하기 때문에 지구에서 이 정도의 무게를 들어올릴 수 있다면 달에서는 그 6배의 무게를 들어올릴 수 있고 또 착륙을 할 수 있습니다.
The module's main mission is to collect helium-3 a substance found only on the moon. Helium-3 is known to be non-radioactive, yet can be used in nuclear fusion power generation. The substance is considered one of the most viable sources of alternative energy. China and Japan launched lunar exploratory satellites last year with the goal of securing helium-3. The substance is the main reason that other countries are racing to explore the moon. Korea had to develop its own space technology given the unwillingness of more advanced space powers to share their technologies. The research team says its breakthrough will speed up Korea's lunar exploration and have the country join the ranks of other space superpowers in this decade.
The current economic slowdown doesn't mean that you can't enjoy cultural activities. Organizers of jazz and pop music concerts are offering cheap events for the economically struggling population.
The sweet sound of a saxophone helps people forget the cold on an early winter night. Admission is just 1,000 won, or about 75 cents, though the concert is held in the affluent area of southern Seoul. The concert began 6 years ago and has built up a reputation among jazz fans. A variety of jazz musicians from veterans to novices is featured.
5만 원, 10만 원짜리 공연이라고 해도 정말 믿을 만큼 1,000원 치고는 정말 좋은 공연이었고.
Star singers have accepted less money to appear at a benefit concert.
정말 내가 음악을 들으면서 치유받고 또 이렇게 즐거움을 얻을 수 있는 그런 기회들과 자리들이 많이 있었으면 좋겠어요.
These cheap concerts have invited fans through lottery or the giveaway of free tickets. Therefore, profiting from these concerts is almost impossible.
수입은 320만 원 정도밖에 되지 않기 때문에 제작비의 10분의 1 정도밖에 되지 않습니다. 그렇지만 이런 공연을 통해서 문화예술계의 저변을 확대한다는 의미가 있기 때문에
Seoul is one of the most expensive cities in the world, yet it's possible to enjoy culture here for a cheap price.
A poetry park has opened on Jeju Island featuring works by famous Korean poets. We went to take a look.
마당 귀에 바람을 놓고 귤꽃 흐드러져 하얀 날 파도 소리 들으며 긴 편지를 쓴다.
The snow-capped Mount Halla is seen across the newly opened poetry park in Seogwipo. Poetry describing the beauty of nature and the poet's inspiration from Seogwipo draw the eyes of visitors. The poets include Korea's most renowned poets such as Chung Ji-young, Bang Mo-gwol, Kim Chun-soo, and Gu Sang. 13 tablets with poetry engraved on them are set up along the 600-meter path around the Cheonjiyeon Falls. Poems have been written in the handwritings of the poets or their relatives on the granite or natural stones in various shapes and colors. 3 stones have engravings of songs about Seogwipo, including Jo Mimi's 1970s hit, Do You Know Seogwipo?
해방을 전후해서 서귀포를 찾아왔던 작가들이 서귀포에 관해서 썼던 1000여 편의 작품들 중에서 3차례에 걸쳐서 음선을 했고
The park is one of the few in Korea featuring poetry about a certain place and promises to become a hot spot of Jeju with this exquisite landscape.
Music helps many people through difficult times, and perhaps that's why musicals are more popular than ever in Korea. So let's take a look at the latest musical trends and other news from the arts sector.
The overweight singer Kang Han-byul never disclosed her face to the public. Then she decides to undergo a massive plastic surgery because she wants to approach the man of her dreams. After a series of painful operations, she is transformed into a slender and pretty woman. The musical 200-Pound Beauty, based on the movie of the same title, drew the spotlight from the initial stages of its production. Now, audiences have a chance to see the musical version of the blockbuster movie.
6분 정도 그 안에 이제 머리부터 발끝까지 완벽하게 찰바꿈되어야 되기 때문에 그걸 이제 빠르게 체인지하기 위하여 최대한 막 빨리 가면 벗고.
3 original soundtracks of the movie that became huge hits are also featured in the musical, but they have been slightly modified.
이 뮤지컬에 맞는 시스템 안에서의 연기를 보여드려야 되기 때문에 사실 저희는 더 극대화시키거나 혹은 또 극소화시키거나 이런 식으로.
This musical is about a man and a woman, each from a different background, who meet one day and fall in love with each other. They end up tying the knot, but part their ways 5 years later. The musical depicts each character's feelings from their individual viewpoints. The musical, The Last 5 Years, was written entirely as a song. Colleen Park, who 5 years ago participated in the musical as its music director, this time acted as a producer. Now some news from the exciting concert scene. Young pianist Kim Jang-won will hold a nationwide tour of 16 cities. Kim has been at the forefront of promoting classical piano music to the public. He mostly performs in Austria. This time he's playing in Korea, and his repertoire includes the works of Bach and Chopin. An unusual exhibition themed after human eyes has opened recently. It features hyper-realistic works with profound depictions of human faces. A severely wrinkled face with small eyes conveys the feeling of exhaustion. When you look into the eyes of these people, drawn in minute detail, you might think that you're looking in the mirror. Artist Han Young-uk says he wanted to portray the bitterness and loneliness of today's people.
자기가 잊고 살고 있지만은 늙는다, 죽는다에 대한 두려움과 또는 막 슬픈 감정이 어딘가에 깃들어져 있는 것 같아요. 근데 그건 다 감추고 살아가는 것 같아요.
By using aluminum, oil and scratches, the artist created colors and shades that are impossible to create using paints alone. The images of ordinary people of different skin colors and backgrounds represent the human ability to overcome hardships and carry on living.
And now let's check out today's economic indicators, and that's followed by world weather. And that does it for today's edition of News Today. Do join me tomorrow at the same time. Thank you for watching.